Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is our NXT review. Another stellar episode of NXT to round out 2017. I will say, for me personally, I think I only marginally preferred last week's episode and thought it was better, but this was still an exceptional outing of NXT television. We got an NXT Women's Championship match, Ember Moon versus Sonya Deville. We got an amazing Fatal 4-Way that's got, great stories going on. Tag division looks like it's heating up. So, yeah, and the women's division, man, I spoke about that women's championship match. The post-match really showed that 2018, the women's division, I think, is going to be getting a lot of its fire back. So, partner, what do you think of tonight's episode of NXT?
I really enjoyed tonight's episode of NXT, and you and I were kind of talking briefly before we went live, and even though I did find out from you, which apparently they announced tonight, but I wasn't paying attention, that we are going to be getting a clip show next week, like a recap of 2017. I gotta say, I'm more used to them doing that on the last episode of NXT of the year, and it was even worse last year, because last year they literally just showed like full 20-minute matches from house shows that were like title changes and shit between Nakamura and Samoa Joe. So I feel like tonight's episode, even if we are getting a clip show next week, which we will not be reviewing, tonight's episode was a pleasant change of pace, and I really enjoyed pretty much everything that happened tonight, with really the lone exception being one segment that we'll eventually talk about.
All right, well, with that said, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. No heats of the night, no nitpicks. Again, I feel like this is an episode of NXT with its best foot forward. You can tell it's starting to get its stride again as far as stories and everything else. But you did mention one segment you didn't like. Was it so offensive that it's the heat of the night? Is it a nitpick? Or are you just going to save it for a more general discussion? What do you got on your end?
No, it's not anywhere nearly that bad. It's the first segment of the night, and I really like. It's not really horrible that I want to set it on fire and burn it. It's just little annoyances.
Okay, so you want to just get right into our NXT review then?
Absolutely, my friend.
All right, our NXT review, and we begin with the Street Profits taking on Chris Starr and Riley Apex, if I remember those names correctly. So I'll give you the ball on this, since this was the match, right, that you had your little annoyances with?
Well, yeah, and it's not even with the match itself. It's with the post-match promo that I had a problem with.
Okay. What about it? Oh, well, actually, before we get to that, let's not jump the gun. The match itself was fairly quick. I mean, not much to talk about.
I
Really,
literally just have in my notes Street Profits squash, and that's it.
and that's really what it was. I will say this, though, maybe it's just me, and maybe this is just me kind of imposing my own thoughts about it, but I feel like Montez Ford's splash has gotten even better. The frog splash he did tonight was gorgeous. I love, too, that they utilized the camera angle in the post-match to show him flying halfway across the ring. Dude is talented AF, my friend. So, yeah, Street Profit squash. Then they go amongst the people and they celebrate. Then they cut a promo, but I'm going to hand the reins over to you. Let's talk about this. So what did you think?
Yeah, so the promo, they basically said that they were coming for the tag titles. They basically declared their interest in going after the NXT Tag Team Championships. And I think the reason that I have such a problem with this is because they have literally no credibility right now. Like, everybody that they have ever faced has either been a jobber team, like what we saw tonight, two local competitors, or Moss and Sabatelli, who, again, I really don't see as credible whatsoever. So to me, I'm not a big fan of young upcoming babyface teams saying shit like, oh, we're the best team, all those other teams are nothing, we're coming for the tag titles, when they've done nothing to earn it. If this would have been a heel team, I'd be behind it, but it's a face team, and they need to just work their way there and shut their mouths.
I totally get that. Normally I try and play devil's advocate sometimes when you take this more unique view to certain things, but here, I mean, I totally get it. It's funny. Like, if they would have stayed healthy and stayed the course, which, I mean, you can't help it. I don't mean to make it sound like I'm blaming anybody, but like, if TM61, for instance, did a promo like this, it would have been more resonant with me. because we know how good they are, and they've really been scratching and clawing and all that. But these guys, they've only beaten jobber teams. They like even if they would have beaten one time a team like Authors of Pain, let's say, and then they did this promo, I would have been like, okay, well, I can see why they'd feel their swagger a little bit after a win like that. But you just beat a jobber team that we're never gonna see again, and you're cutting a promo acting like you're the hottest thing in the tag team division. It just really shows that, honestly, while 2017, I think, has been a solid year overall for NXT, I think the biggest loser was the tag division for my money, because TM61 still isn't here. The Revival's now on the main roster, who I think was your biggest asset. DIY broke up, even though there's been a lot of positive to come from that, and we'll get to that later. I just don't think the tag division has really recouped from those losses. I mean, you had Heavy Machinery getting a random tag title match this year. That's another team that I feel like hasn't really been built up that well. Now the Street Profits are kind of calling their shot. And I mean, I hate to be that guy, but I think it just shows that not only do you need new and exciting, incredible teams in your division, but you need teams like TM61 that are a bit more established and can have that story and really bring some teeth back to the division. So I totally get what you're saying, dude.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen any recent photos of Shane Thorne, but he grew his hair out. He's got a long ass head of hair now.
No, I haven't seen it. I'll anxiously await his return so I could see it for myself. But yeah, like, and don't get me wrong, like, I don't want to make it seem like the tag division's a dumpster fire. Like, it did end on a high note too, with Red Dragon being the tag team champions. But we still have a problem, I think, when it comes to credible contenders, and that's my problem. Because on one hand, you could be a revolving door of AOP insanity, which would get tedious very quickly. Because, and again, just my opinion, it's not the quality of DIY or Revival. Or you can do these tag teams that really have no credibility, that are just like really just trying to leapfrog over everybody else, like Heavy Machinery and Street Profits, and I think you have problems there. So yeah, champions, great. Love Red Dragon as champions. Challengers definitely need some work.
I just sent a link to an Instagram photo of Shane Thorne in the Hangouts chat. Check it out, and you can.
Damn, yeah. Almost looks like he could be like Buddy Murphy's brother or something.
That's crazy. What I would give for the freaking team of Buddy Murphy and Shane Thorne.
Yeah, and that's another, like, 2018, get Buddy Murphy on the scene, for God's sake.
Yeah, it's like the charismatic halves of their respective tag teams.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to say about this promo?
No, not really. I definitely, the more you talk about it and the more we kind of dive into it, the more I realize how hurting the NXT tag division is nowadays. I am looking forward to TM61 coming back. I really do wish they would give Murphy something to do, since you just mentioned him, and all that makes me think of is Blurfy, which I loved. And yeah, I've actually heard, there's like a new faction going on in NXT house shows that involves like a bunch of relatively well-known indie stars, including the German guy, Axel Dieter Jr.
I remember, I think you shared like an article with me one time, or I came across something and we talked about it a little bit, and it sounded really cool. If that's still happening, I think that may be one of the bigger stories in 2018. Like, I could see that.
Here we go. It's Murphy, Donovan Dijak, Fabian Eichner, and Dieter, which his name in NXT is Marcel Barthel, I believe.
Yeah, I think I may follow.
That was the faction, and I saw somebody in Discord was talking about, it was Foster, I believe, was talking about how they were teaming up on NXT house shows. So maybe, I mean, that could be really interesting. That would be a great development if we could actually see that on NXT TV, and not even necessarily because I'm a big fan of that entire faction, but just because I'm a big fan of the individuals that are in it, and I know that they would produce good quality television.
Oh, brother, I could tell you, like, we already know that Murphy has a star quality about him. Axel Dieter Jr., who I'm really excited about, Marcel Barthel, I'm really stoked about him because I've watched some clips. I think he's a very young dude, too, which makes it even more exciting.
Oh, and apparently there's another, speaking of tag teams, apparently there is a tag team also working house shows. It's Wesley Blake with Steve Cutler.
And you know what? I'm actually amazed Steve Cutler still has a job. But I'm impressed with Wesley Blake, staying afloat. But yeah, I mean, 2018, hopefully we see some major rehabilitation in that tag division. Because again, it wasn't a dumpster fire when you've got Red Dragon as your champions. But we need credible challengers. That said, though, I think I've said all I said about this segment without getting redundant. You want to move on?
Absolutely. Up next, unless I missed something, I believe, are we immediately after this promo and then probably a commercial break, we got right into Sonya Deville versus Ember Moon.
I gotta be honest with you, Ashton. Not really much to say about this match. It was a
Yeah.
shorter NXT Women's Championship match, given that it was television and you knew that you had the Fatal 4-Way, which was going to get a lot of time. Honestly, if I'm being truthful, I feel like the post match was far more noteworthy than anything that happened in this match. It's not that it was atrocious or anything. It's just it was kind of there. When you think about the canon of NXT Women's Championship matches, this is really a footnote, and I'm looking for more pop, bigger things, more momentous things for Ember Moon's title reign going forward. But I mean, it was a serviceable match.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a solid match. Nothing too special, but definitely entertaining. And Ember wins with Total Eclipse. And then, the more interesting stuff happened after the match was over.
Absolutely, because Ember Moon's celebrating, and then Kairi Sane comes out. And of course, I'm immediately squeeing because she's just the greatest entity on the planet. And she takes out her spyglass and, kind of looks at Ember Moon. I love that, by the way. Like, what a way to really bring the character just to the forefront there. And does the belt motion, like, I want to challenge you. And then something that everybody's been laughing at me for on Twitter because everybody's an insensitive feelings herder. Shayna Baszler comes from behind and chokes Kairi out. And if you actually strain your ear hard enough, you can actually hear the exact moment my heart breaks. And Kairi just passes out to the choke. Shayna just looks up at Ember. And yeah, that's our segment. Johnny Goodfellow's crying in a corner and needs copious amounts of therapy. Objective John.
But isn't that a good thing? Don't you hate Johnny Goodfellow?
I mean, I do, but I feel like Johnny Goodfellow is now 90% me. Like, I feel like Scumbags become like a dwindling flame, and I'm very concerned. But,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's pretty bad. But for the more serious side, which I know you all come here to, listen to, it was a badass debut for Shayna. I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, I love the continuity of going after the woman that beat her in the Mae Young Classic. That's just great because it picks up right where they left off. Honestly, I would have, I get that, when you're in a tournament and, we're making history because they hugged and showed respect. This is how I like my heels. Like picture Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate last week where he just shrugged. We need more of this shit. Like, forget the fact that you beat me. Forget the fact that we.
I don't know, man. It's starting to kind of feel like there's like a new insurgence of really good, pure, hate my face heels. And it's like ZSJ, Marty Skrull, Marty the Moth, your boy Dunn, and now Shayna is kind of hopping on the wagon as well, and she's got that about her too.
And I welcome it, dude. I welcome it. Like, I get that we're a reality era and with technology and everything else, like everybody knows everything and all that, the tired lines and this and that. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. It doesn't mean that you're still not a certain product telling a certain story. And every story, I think, needs good, genuine villains. I get it. A lot of what we deem good and evil today has changed drastically from what it was in the 90s. But it's nice that somebody can still be a piece of shit, but you know what? You try and do something about it, and they keep you down because they're just that dominant. And Shayna, this is the perfect kind of debut I'd have for her. I love that they didn't do next week and have her do a squash. She immediately goes after one of the more credible people in the division, given her profile and how great she is in Kairi Sane, and looks right at Ember. And I've already told you, I think the first time she gets in the ring with Ember, I visualize the ending sequence. She goes for a total eclipse. Shayna hangs on and chokes her ass out. Like, this is everything we've been asking for. So, yes, and the more playful side and stuff like that, I'm heartbroken. Everybody's been having fun at my expense, which I get it. If it happened to you guys, I'd be doing the exact same thing. But the more serious side, yeah. I mean, Shayna's a badass, and this is the perfect debut for her, for sure. What did you think about it, man? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts about all this.
I love that Shayna is debuting, and not only is she immediately going after Kairi, who is like one of the, if not the most beloved women in NXT, but in a sense, also immediately inserting herself into the women's championship picture, because you got to remember, before Shayna showed up, Kairi did her little thing where she looked through her looking glass towards Ember and then did the belt motion, clearly indicating that she was interested in the championship. Shayna was just like, bitch, you ain't cutting in front of me in line. And she went out there and choked her the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's how a heel that does what Shayna can do should act. Honestly,
dude, I'm telling you, like, to me, I feel like Shayna could ultimately be the NXT women's division version of Brock Lesnar, only way better because she'll actually show up when she needs to.
Exactly.
And honestly, I'll say this. I think Shayna is fully capable of having better matches than we've seen from Brock Lesnar in like 3 years now.
And I agree with that too. And now here's where I may get in a bit of controversial territory because I love Ember Moon. This is not a slight against her, but I think Shayna is an answer to a problem that the women's division may not know that it has. Because when your prior champion was Asuka, right? And commentary even made a point about this during DeVille versus Ember Moon. Asuka had that belt for 500 plus days and never lost it. She developed a mystique about her that's like, I've got to see who Asuka fights next. Is this going to be it? Ember Moon, while she's an amazing talent and I would never denigrate her, for me, she doesn't have that mystique. And I feel like you can't, for me, when you have somebody as dominant and just the profile that Asuka built while she was down there, you've got to be able to at least have something comparable to that. I think Shayna's much closer to that than Ember Moon. And that's why I think
Dude, yeah, like to me, I think that Ember should lose the championship to Shayna in her first defense against her.
I agree. I agree. I just, again, when you have somebody that was as great as Asuka was, you can't just go down. And again, I love Ember, but it's like she doesn't have that mystique for me. Shayna does. Because if
it's so funny too, because like you just know when Shayna went out there and had that match with Mia Yim, and then a couple weeks later when she went out there and had that match against Mercedes Martinez, you just know Triple H is in the back rubbing his hands together like, oh, we're going to make so much money getting people to want to see this woman lose her title.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, dude, can you imagine if they give Shayna a great NXT run and then they have her do a little bit, which by then it'll probably already be spoiled if fucking Ronda Rousey ruins everything. But can you imagine a Shayna Baszler Asuka matchup? These two amazing forces that had great NXT runs finally meeting in the middle. Like, when you get characters like an Asuka, like a Shayna, it's a license to print money. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. And already I can see by Shayna's debut, they have every intention of keeping the foot on the gas. I'm sorry, and my heart breaks that Kyrie had to be the first casualty, but you know what? Again, the narrative continuity. Kyrie beat her in the Mae Young Classic. She didn't.
Dude, what are you gonna do though if we get Kyrie versus Shayna #1 contendership match and Shayna wins? Is that gonna be like Johnny Scumbag making a comeback, pushing Johnny Goodfellow closer into the corner?
I mean, possibly, but I think too, if you think, because I mean, NXT does love with certain characters the long form stories. I could see Kyrie beating Shayna right back several months down the road for the championship if she isn't already called up by then. I mean, we always got to keep that in mind.
But, I mean, to me, Shayna is absolutely getting called up long before Kyrie does. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, and I could agree with you there. If for no other reason, I mean, the MMA profile for one. Two, you've got the English down pat, which Kyrie's isn't bad by any means, but, they're probably going to want to keep her down there to do some more work. Yeah. And but I think in the time that they're together, they can do some quality television. And so can Shayna and Ember. Like, build this division around Shayna Baszler, because isn't she in her 30s or something? Like, how old?
Oh, yeah, she's late 30s. She's like 37, 38 years old.
Okay, yeah, see, I thought that because I know we touched on that in the Mae Young Classic coverage that we did. She's in that kind of prime, and, just like when they had Batista, put your foot on the gas, get the best years out of her that you can, and then just make the money while you can, and then everybody.
Yeah, like to me, if Shayna is still in NXT this time next year, something had to have gone wrong, because to me, she needs to be either a post-Mania call-up or at the very latest, like a post-Survivor Series call-up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, completely. Absolutely.
Because to me, like, even though I know there are going to be some people that are like, oh, she's still green in the ring, she's only been wrestling for 2 years or whatever, like, she had literally the two best matches in the Mae Young Classic versus Mercedes Martinez and versus Mia Yim. Those, to me, were the two best matches in the entire tournament. And granted, most people think it was Mercedes and it was the Mercedes match that was better. But to me, I liked the Mia match better. But the point is, those are the two best matches. And what's the common denominator? Shayna freaking Baszler. You give her someone to work with and she will tango. And even her match with Candice LeRae, which was shorter, it was still a great match because it accomplished what it needed to. And that was establishing Shayna as a badass bitch that will fuck your shit up.
Absolutely. And you think about with the Mae Young Classic, I mean, Mia Yim and especially Mercedes Martinez, very experienced veterans of the game. these are the people you want Shayna working with when she's coming into the industry this late, and they make her look like $1,000,000. Same way with Ember. I mean, she was Athena working the indies for several years, and Kyrie, we already know how amazing she is, although she's incredibly young and just insanely talented.
Actually, Kyrie isn't that young, dude.
I thought she was like 20 something, or no? Is she?
She's late 20s. She's 29.
Okay, well, that's still not bad. I mean, relative to she's got like 9 years on Baszler.
I mean, to be fair though, WWE has like a different like age curve for the women. Like to me, when I think of women in WWE, the average age of women in WWE is like 27, 28, and young is like under 25.
Right.
Whereas with guys, the average age is probably like 34-ish, and young is under 30, or maybe even 29. But yeah, like they're different curves because WWE generally does tend to target women younger, and that's why like women like Shayna and Mercedes are such weird cases, because they're entering WWE at an age that most women in WWE history have already been retired by.
Right. But yeah, I mean, just working with people like that, working with people that have the experience that they do, like, it's just going to make Shayna better. Plus, here's the thing, too, that I think a lot of people don't want to acknowledge. Shayna really doesn't have to do much. Like, you really just have to show up and know how to put on a chokehold. And given how she put that chokehold on Kyrie, I think people are pretty satisfied. Like, this is, and I'm not saying that she can't do the work if she needs to. I think she can. I'm right there with you. But I'm just saying, even just looking at her and what she represents, you don't have to do much. You don't have to do a fucking shooting star press.
Yeah, dude. So, like, well, and the crazy thing too is Shayna, like, I know that she's got the whole Ace of Spades or Queen of Spades or whatever the hell it is.
Queen of Spades, yeah.
Yeah, she's got that whole gimmick. But to me, like, her gimmick could be like the outlier Shayna Baszler, because she is an outlier in every respect. Like, she started so late and she's been in wrestling for so little, and yet she's already so good. She could literally refer to herself as the outlier Shayna Baszler, and I'd buy the hell out of it, because she is just freaky at how quickly she picked this up.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great post-match segment. And you know what? It's so funny because, like, you know, Ember Moon beat Sonya Deville, who I think Sonya would, like, everything that Shayna Baszler is, I think Sonya wishes her character was. And yet, dude, we're getting the real deal. And
yeah, like, Sonya, so like, I like Sonya, and I really wanted her to be a big deal, but to me, Shayna Baszler is the Kevin Owens to Sonya's Bull Dempsey.
Exactly. Actually, that's a great soundbite to end out on. I really have nothing else to say about this post-match segment or the match. I mean, I thought this was all great, so unless you do, we can move on.
Up next, we got a Paul Ellering promo talking about, you know, all of the teams that challenged for AOP's titles, and, you know, the teams that AOP went up against at War Games, and then, of course, talks about Undisputed Era taking the titles and tells them explicitly that they are on borrowed time.
Yeah, Ellering, I've really come to learn that for me, he is the best part of this whole Authors of Pain gimmick. You know, like, I love hearing him speak. He's got, you know, that unique voice and unique promo delivery. So, yeah, this is good for me. I enjoyed this. Not much more I could say than that, though. Unless you have anything to say, we can move on.
All right. So then we got Christy St. Cloud interviewing Ember Moon. Just asks her what's going on with Kyrie and Shayna, and Ember says that she knew that when she won the women's championship that she would have a big target on her back. And then she says that she's not really hard to find, and whoever, whether it's Kyrie or Shayna, whoever it is that wants to challenge her, all they need to do is step in the ring and she'll be there for the fight.
Short, sweet, and to the point. You know, I think I've even, yeah.
I want her to succeed and I want to like her, but she is the most bland women's champion NXT probably has ever had.
That's let me think. God, you might be right. Because, I mean, she really does have, like, she's solid in ring, but everybody.
I mean, here's the thing. Well, let's just start at the beginning. Paige had a character. She was the anti-diva. Charlotte, a little bit questionable, but even back then, before she went to the main roster, her whole thing was, I want to establish myself as great without using my father's name. I don't want to be my dad, all that stuff. So we were familiar with, like, who she was and what her ambitions were and that kind of stuff. And then Sasha, I mean, good Lord, do I even need to say anything? And then Bayley, again, good Lord, do I even need to say anything? And then Asuka. Like, we've had 5 women's champions prior to Ember, and all of them have had pretty sustainable characters that the audience could connect with. Whereas Ember, is just kind of vaguely supernatural, I think, even though she doesn't actually act like it, but her gimmick is supposed to be that, and I'm not even sure.
And yeah, I mean, really, I'm not even going to get too deep into it because the chat's already been really hashing out that very same discussion. I think I've even said from the beginning in her run that she shouldn't have extended promos for me. This was short, sweet, and to the point. This was serviceable. And really, I'm not even going to come down too hard because the way it's looking, she really is going to be a transitional champion. Because I just do
Right.
not see Shayna not winning that championship. So that's all I can
Dude,
say.
I really, honestly, I think, how do I put this? You can't give that title to Shayna soon enough. Like, there's
Yeah.
this thing as too soon with her. To me, if she beats Ember for the title in 2 weeks on our first episode back from the clip show, I'd say, well, it's about damn time. You know, like they need to really, I think that the best time is to pull the trigger on giving that title to Shayna on Takeover Philly.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it can't change hands soon enough. Plus, I honestly, and I hate to say this again because I am a fan of hers, Ember might just be one of those babyface champions, or just one of those baby faces, which I think it's a characteristic inherent in all baby faces, but some more than others, where she's just a better chaser than champion. Like, I think I'd
She's
rather
like
see her on
the,
one.
you know, I mean, if we're relating this back to Lucha Underground, she's like a phoenix or a sexy star. You give her the title to get that big pop, that big moment, and then take the title off of her as soon as you can because you don't want that person holding the title for more than a couple months.
Exactly. So, with that said, let's move on. What came after this?
After this, we get a recap of Drew McIntyre's injury at Takeover. What was it? Houston? What was the last Takeover?
I think it was Houston. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got recaps of all 4 qualifying matches for the number 1 contendership fatal 4-way. We got Killian Dane, Trent Seven, Gargano, Ono, Sullivan Strong, and Black Cole, which, I mean, Black Cole, hopefully, if you guys weren't naughty for Christmas, you didn't have to deal with any of that in your stockings. And then we got our main event of the evening, the Fatal 4-way number 1 contendership match. Johnny Gargano versus Aleister Black versus Killian Dane versus Lars Sullivan. Winner gets Almas in Philly.
So, what do you think of this? I want you to
I loved it so much. It was so good. I love all the drama, especially towards the end, which I want to talk more about the end than anything, but like the stuff that they did over the announce table. I love that we didn't have to deal with Percy Watson for the latter half of this match on commentary. It was just Morrow. This match was wonderful.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I thought it was fantastic. You know, it really says something that the week prior, you get Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne in an instant classic, and you're like, well, how can you measure up to that? And even though I'm sure a lot of people would say Dunne Bate was still better, this is still a really fun fucking match. What I loved about it too, because see, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me being nitpicky, but I feel like the problem sometimes with certain multi-person matches is, okay, what's everybody's role or function? Some people seem a bit overexposed. Other people may not get enough to do. I feel like everybody did their best part in this. Like, everybody got enough to do. The behemoths caused destruction, Lars and Killian Dane, doing the table spot. That splash by Dane was sick looking. Dane coming back in with the sentons, he looked like a beast. Lars Sullivan recovering and the camera on him as he's slowly coming back to life, as this is like a horror film or some shit. Because I thought the monsters were going to be out of place, but I thought they looked great.
And they even had their own little spot where, they had already gotten rid of Aleister, and then Lars had Gargano, and he was just like, you know what? I want to deal business with Dane first. And he just tosses Gargano out after spinning him 360 degrees for no reason whatsoever. And then we get the big face off. And it literally just comes down to both guys hitting each other with lariats and taking each other down with them.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, again, they didn't feel out of place. They felt more than just like, oh, these obstacles for the other two guys, which they were, but they also felt like, yeah, we'll try and outmuscle each other. We want that title shot. Aleister Black, sweet mother of God. You want to talk about things that you can't do soon enough?
Dude,
man on the main event.
On the main roster, yeah.
Yeah, like, this guy's a WrestleMania main event waiting to happen. And if not
Dude,
that, this guy's your signature Mania match waiting to happen. Like,
dude, the sequence that he had where he just took on both Lars and Killian at the same time was unbelievable.
This guy, I got to be very careful with my praise of certain acts because sometimes it doesn't end well. I'm sadly looking at you, Finn Balor. But like,
oh wow,
to me, I love Finn. That's why I said sadly. But to me, like, Aleister Black kind of has that Stone Cold vibe to me where he is just a badass. Like, who wouldn't want to be this dude? He stared down 2 behemoths, 2 juggernauts, and did not give 1 iota of a fuck. Was just like launching, knees and kicks like they were nothing. Like, it was great. And then the throat slit.
It's funny because earlier on we were talking on Lucha Rewatch, we were talking about how El Dragon Azteca Jr. was like Vegeta, and I was like, oh, well, does that make Puma Goku? But honestly, Aleister Black kind of has a Goku vibe, because it felt like tonight he was like, oh, well, normally to beat my opponents, I only have to use 30% of my power, but now since I'm facing 2 gigantic guys, I might have to use 50% of it.
Dude, like I said earlier, if this guy isn't a Mania main event, which I think he's fully capable of being, I see him being in that Undertaker spot where his matches are like a main attraction. Like,
Yeah.
you'll come to see Aleister Black compete. This guy, I know I said it earlier about like Shayna and Asuka, but I say it again, licensed to print money. This dude is so loved by everybody. And speaking of loved by everybody, we're going to get to another competitor here in a second. But Jesus Christ. Like, I look at Aleister Black, who I'm not even really like a mark for necessarily, but I appreciate the idea of Aleister Black and how well he executes it. It's so good. Just so good. And
honestly, the biggest complaint that I have about the way the WWE is booking Aleister Black is that they didn't sign him sooner.
yeah, that's just it. Yeah,
like and the only reason that's even a problem is because he's 32. He's just a little bit on the older side than what you'd like to see. And the only reason I'm even bringing that up is because you mentioned The Undertaker, and I immediately thought like, oh, let's give Aleister Black a streak at WrestleMania. But Undertaker's first WrestleMania match was when he was like 26 years old, whereas Aleister's will probably be when he's at least 32, if not 33 years old.
Yeah, thank goodness WWE will still get some worthwhile years out of him, because everything is just clicking with this dude right now. And speaking of everything clicking, and I'm going to give the ball back to you since you're a far bigger fan of this guy than I am, at least I think. Johnny Gargano, dude.
Oh, God.
He had this crowd in the palm of their fucking hands. Like, you would have thought that he was competing in the fucking World Series or Super Bowl or some shit with how badly they wanted this for him. What did you think about Gargano's performance?
Oh my God. His desperation look is the best of all time, honestly. Like, when he gets that look on his face, like he's not really sure what's actually going on and he's kind of brain dead, but his body's on autopilot. I swear, I just want to like call an ambulance and have them pick him up and treat him back to proper health so that he doesn't die in the ring. Like, he is so sympathetic. It's actually crazy. And the fact that it took Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish and Johnny Gargano unintentionally teaming up. I mean, Johnny Gargano attacked Adam Cole too, so it's not like it was a heelish thing. But the fact that we got all 4 of these guys, and it took all 4 of them to finally bring down Aleister Black, the first time Aleister Black has ever been defeated in a match, and it comes off the heels of O'Reilly and Fish coming out and distracting him, then Adam Cole coming out, hitting him with his finisher, and then Johnny Gargano attacking Adam Cole, throwing Black back in the ring, dealing with Killian Dane and Lars Sullivan, and then doing a slingshot DDT to Aleister Black. And finally, Johnny Gargano not only wins and defeats Aleister Black, which is the first time that's ever happened, but becomes the #1 contender and will challenge Almas, the man that he can't freaking beat or has never beaten before, for the NXT Championship in Philadelphia. I am so excited.
I mean, it's telling an amazing story. Just to kind of rewind a little bit, I'm stoked as fuck for Black Cole as well. I thought their NXT TV match was fun, but I think what they can do on a takeover will be a million times better. And again, it shows you how invaluable Cole is, because yet another week where he's on NXT TV. You mentioned last week where he seemed to be.
Dude, he's on a. Yeah, I don't think he's missed a single episode since he's debuted. He is unbelievably consistent with his appearances on NXT TV.
And do you notice that he's so valuable without even having a championship, because he's Adam fucking Cole? Can we just?
I know, he's so good.
I love how high your voice got there. Holy shit, way to pull a me, bud. Nice.
Oh God, yeah, I didn't even try. I know, I'm just cracking over here.
But no, it's
cracking like an egg, man.
It tells a great story with Gargano. Look, I've always given him his due. A lot like Sami Zayn. When you're a great babyface, you're a great babyface. And when you can sell your fucking ass off and make certain moves look like, I think I'm dying, guys, but I'm still gonna try. It's great shit. And him winning, I will say, the only criticism I have about it is purely selfish because I'm convinced now Andrade's going to lose that title in Philly, and I really just got used to him with the NXT Championship. But that's my only gripe, is it's a purely selfish and subjective thing. Like Gargano, it's smart business. If you want to give him the championship, that crowd's going to pop so hard. But if you make him struggle, again, the crowd will pop even harder when he finally does win it. I don't think you could go wrong at this point. I think when it comes to Philly, Andrade versus Gargano, and I mean this sincerely, whatever outcome you choose, whether it's Andrade winning and the struggle continues for Gargano, or Gargano wins and Tommaso Ciampa beats the fucking shit out of him, you can't go wrong because he's just going to be a great babyface champion. And yeah.
Dude, if Ciampa is able to come back to attack Gargano in Philly after Gargano wins the title, I will literally die live on stream.
And I'll die with you. Die of laughing at Gargano's suffering because I've always been more of a Ciampa guy since the heel turn. So that'll be something I can
I'll just die knowing that we're getting Gargano versus Ciampa for the NXT title at NXT TakeOver New Orleans.
Yeah. Oh my God. That stage is going to be huge. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, like Johnny Gargano, and I feel like we've said this before, if not me, you, or maybe both of us, I don't know. But like, this is Daniel Bryan 2.0 to me. Like, this is their second chance to have an underdog like that and really do it right this time. And at least as far as NXT is concerned, I think they take that prospect very seriously. I thought they took it seriously with Sami Zayn when he had his run, and they're doing it again here. I'm glad to see that they're not like shortchanging baby faces that they know have a deep connection with the crowd. They're telling stories worthy of, that overness and just keeping the crowd invested. And yeah, Gargano Almas 3 is going to be amazing. Again, selfishly, I hope it doesn't mean that Andrade is going to drop the belt.
Am I correct in saying that this is going to be the Gargano has not defeated Almas yet?
I don't think he's ever defeated Almas, so they do have that story. Because Zelina Vega's always said, like, you can't do it on your own, and this, that, and the other.
Dude, and how ironic and how poetic too, because the reason that Gargano is 0-2 against Almas is because Zelina keeps on showing up with DIY shirts. What in the world is going to happen when Gargano sees a DIY shirt and no sells it? And it's finally this moment. Oh my God, Johnny Gargano's finally over Tommaso Ciampa and he wins. And then Ciampa beats the shit out of him again.
I can't wait for that beating. I'm visualizing it, and I just visualize Candice crying, and it's just the best fucking thing.
Well, no, Candice wouldn't cry because she's with James now, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. So she would just be laughing like, oh, James, I'm so glad I left you for, well, I mean, I guess slightly a better man. But regardless, this is going to be amazing. I think this TakeOver main event, I love Almas, and Gargano's brilliant at what he does. Going to be rooting for Almas, and I've never lied about that. But if Gargano wins, it'll be deserved because when you're that over.
Dude, I'm telling you, I absolutely adore Almas with all my heart. And going into it, I might be like, okay, Almas needs to retain here. But 2 minutes into the match, I guarantee you they're going to work me into rooting for Gargano. That's just,
and you know what though? And that's fine, dude. That's what it's all about, because when you have a great babyface, I mean, look, dude, how many times when a guy like, I'll go with the babyface that I do love, or former babyface, John Morrison, every time he'd compete for the WWE title, even though I knew like it wouldn't make narrative sense, every time I'm like, oh, please, dear God, let this be the night. That's how you know you've got, and not only is it just me, because with me, it was just one guy with one guy, that whole crowd is like Gargano. Maybe there were some definitely that wanted Alistair, but when Gargano got the win, I didn't hear a single boo or anything. Like, that crowd was so freaking happy because they're living through Gargano. It felt like their win, not just his. And when you've got somebody that's that brilliant, again, a lot like Shane on the heel side, you keep your foot on the gas. So if Andrade has to lose, I guess that I should say that it's just doing good business. And honestly, I know everybody says the main roster fucks people up, but Andrade, to me, he's better than the NXT Championship. He's better than most of what the main roster can offer anyway. So whatever the next thing would be on the horizon for him, I mean, let's do it. Like, I'm just excited with all the talent we have right now. And this is a well-earned win for Gargano, and I can't wait for TakeOver Philly. Nothing more I can say than that. Yeah.
This was a great ending to a wonderful episode of NXT, and our discussion did nothing but make me super hyped for NXT Takeover Philadelphia.
Absolutely, dude. With that said, let's get right into our next segment, high spots and low shots. My low shot's very straightforward. I'm going to say my low shot is Aleister Black
Knew it.
because he had the damn match won and
He
undisputed.
got screwed.
Yeah, I will say on a more like analytical note, I am so happy they protected the fuck out of Black. But yeah, he not only got screwed, he ate the pin because of said screw job. Also want to say as a quick aside, I hope Velveteen Dream gets better soon. I didn't realize he only lost his spot because of injury. That really sucks. That really sucks when he got.
What do you mean he lost his spot?
He was originally supposed to be with the spot that Gargano got. That was supposed to be Velveteen Dream's spot against Cassius Ohno, but he got injured.
Oh, wow. That sucks.
That dude, after the momentum he got at that takeover and injury, like I normally say, oh, injuries can be a blessing in disguise. No, not this time. That was just straight up bad.
Well, you know what though? I mean, if they don't want to jump right into Gargano Ciampa, maybe Ciampa isn't ready yet. I would be perfectly happy with a Gargano Dream feud leading into Takeover New Orleans.
Oh, dude, yeah. See, and that's another brilliant thing. I mean, I hate to backtrack and return to a preceding discussion, but that would be a great thing about a Gargano championship reign is he's the guy that makes everybody look believable. And I'm not saying Velveteen Dream didn't look believable.
I'm telling you, he is the second coming of Daniel Bryan. He is everything that Daniel Bryan was, with the exception of best technical wrestler on the planet, which Bryan was, and I won't go as far as to say Gargano is, but he is everything else that Daniel Bryan was.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm gonna say Aleister Black is my low shot. Who's your low shot?
Oh man. My low shot, I'm going to just have to keep it simple and give it to Sonya Deville because, I mean, actually, no, I'm not even going to give it to Sonya Deville because this was like the best, push that she ever got in NXT, and it happened after she had already left NXT. My low shot's going to Kairi Sane because she decided for once in her life to stand up for herself and to go out there and ask for a championship match in her own special way, and she got choked the fuck out for her business.
We can just thanks for piling on there with the laughter. So yeah, I guess that's all that really can be said. So we'll just move right on to the high spot. As you guys know, is my new policy starting last week. My honorary high spot will always go to Morrow, and Nigel killed it again tonight.
And as always, my actual high spot is going to be Adam Cole, and whoever I give my high spot to will be my honorary high spot.
Well, there you go. But my actual high spot. You know what? My actual high spot, who do I give it to here? You know what? I hate to say it because it digs the knife in even deeper. I think I've got to give my actual high spot to Shayna Baszler.
Shayna, you won day one and you're in the title picture.
I know. And she broke the mold of debuts. Everybody else, it's like, oh, next week and this and that. She doesn't tell you when she's coming. She's literally, surprise, motherfucker, choke out.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, and yeah. So, like, I hate to do it. It breaks my heart. And me and Kyrie are going to have a long Twitter conversation about this. And I already called Shayna out, too. I said, your black heart has got Kyrie's elbow waiting for it. But, yeah, she had a great night. I can't deny that. Shayna Baszler's my high spot. Who's your high spot?
All right.
Honorary high spot since Adam Cole got your high spot position.
Johnny Gargano, as if there was ever a question.
Yeah, that's why I really struggled not to pick Gargano because I wanted you to have that. You've been so supportive of him.
I mean, if you would have picked Gargano, it would have been a consensus because I wasn't backing off that shit.
And you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that, but I'm even more glad then that we're able to give two deserving people love because, yeah, this is a great night for great characters. And, yeah, Johnny gets the win. He's going to take over Philly. Can he take it all the way? I personally hope not. I'd love to watch it again, but we'll see.
Johnny Wrestling! Johnny Wrestling! Are you not even going to try and
Well, no. You know I'm not that big of a fan of Gargano, so that's all you, brother.
I thought you would interrupt me at least.
No, I wanted to let you have it.
You'd just be like, okay, and moving on.
Yeah. No, I wanted to let you have it. It's been a tumultuous year for Gargano, but he ends it on a high note, so, there you go.
God, imagine how Rich Camelucci feels right now.
Wait, who? What?
The hardcore Gargano fan from Podswoggle.
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Somebody grab a sock, for fuck's sake. Yeah, that was NXT tonight. Do you have any concluding remarks about this week's episode?
I don't.
All right. Neither do I. So with that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my coordinate commentary. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for NXT reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. You can find all of TwitWow's related media in the description box. Everything from our Twitter handles right down to our Facebook page, all of it's right in there. Obviously, you guys know about the Teespring store. You know all the merch we offer there. Everything from Scum Squad inspired merch. We've got an Emma t-shirt that Ashton made that's universal. It's not specific to her WWE run, so wherever she ends up, it's still a great shirt to wear that you can support her. We've got a Braun Strowman shirt. I mean, anything you can think of. And I mean, 2018 probably be a promising year for more shirts and merch. So be on the lookout on our Teespring. Patreon. Here's the thing with the Patreon, guys. We are currently at our goal, $120 for progress. We're a little past that, but the thing is, there's still time in the month. Now, the 1st of January, we'll see where we're at. Because, I don't know, credit cards can get declined. People can pull out at the last minute, which, I mean, James would know all about that. And, you know, we may be just shy of our goal. And we're really close to progress. And I feel like doing 2018, you know, starting it off, I couldn't think of a better way to start off 2018 than with Progress Live reactions every Tuesday of that particular month. So if you're afraid, like I am, that we might not reach that goal, you could just give just a little bit. $3 get you Discord access if you're not a Discord member yet.
And by the way, I wanted to interject in here because guess what, guys? Even if we do hit the $120 progress goal, we will also, now that we know that next week's NXT is going to be a clip show, we will reserve next week's NXT slot that we would normally use to review NXT, which we won't be doing, for Wrestle Kingdom 12 preview and predictions. It's win-win, people. Donate to the Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're not going to have to sacrifice an arm and a leg. And I'll be honest, I was really stoked to do Wrestle Kingdom preview predictions, so I feel giddy that we'll get to do both. We're the meme people. We're that little girl shrugging her shoulders saying, why not both? And then the whole village celebrates because they realize, my God, wrestling commentary has been saved. So, yes. If you were feeling reservations because you were like, no, I want my preview predictions, now you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to press the nuclear button. You know, you can dab yourself off, right? And you could just give that $3, get that sweet Discord access or more if you want content control and just to make sure we get our progress review. Make sure we stay there, guys. We are so close that if we get to January 1st and I see that it's dipped, I mean, my heart's already been broken once because of Kyrie Sane being choked out. Now, I get why all you guys laughed at me. I'm an asshole. I would have easily done it to you. But keep in mind, though, that if we don't do this, you suffer as well because you all know you want Progress Live reactions in your subscription boxes. You know it. So let's do this together as a team. I've said over and over that I believe in all of you, including my bastard son, Cliff, which I'm having second thoughts about. But I know we can do this, guys. I know we can. So donate to the Patreon. Now, to give a very quick rundown, if I can, about this week and just content in the future here. Thursday, Q&A. Get your questions in. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Discord. You get the deal. I have a pinned tweet where I can receive all of your questions via Twitter. If you haven't submitted yet, we're going live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm not as eloquent as Ashton with the math. You figure it out as far as what time zone you're in. If you haven't submitted questions, please do so. It's 4 questions per Q&A. You can divvy them up however you want. If you want all 4 for me, I mean, great. Thank you for liking me so much. If you want all 4 for Ashton, he's a smart guy. I don't blame you. If you believe that sharing is caring, you can ask both of us all 4 of your questions. However you want it. It's all good. Yeah. And so, yeah, 4 questions. I said that, all that stuff. And you already know the mediums to submit them. So get them in, guys. Get them in. The clock's ticking. The window's open just a crack. If you haven't yet, please do so. So that's Q&A. Sunday. Oh, my God, people. Sunday. Year-end awards. We're going live with this shit at 5. Do you know why we're going live with it at 5? Because it's the deep seat of the year. 5-hour commentary is what's likely to happen here given precedent, given the prior 2 years. So you're going to want to be there. We're running the gamut from the worst of to best of and everything in between. It is the ultimate commentary we do at the end of every year. You're going to want to be there. That's Sunday. Monday, one of my personal favorite video series that we do, right? Five Fave Fives #3, the third installment. And I can't speak for Ashton, and I don't want him to tell me much on his end anyway. But for me, I think you guys are going to be very interested in how everything fell out for me. Now, I may make some last minute changes, but I'm looking at everything, and I think you guys are going to be like, wow, John, though that quarter was really kind to you, wasn't it? Damn right it was. You're going to want to be there to see us talk about our favorites from each promotion and why they're so goddamn good. So that's Monday. Tuesday, you guys already know if we've got progress, we've got progress, and I'm really confident we'll get progress. So we already agreed when we decided to launch the series that we'd be going live with those at 3 p.m. And I'm hoping I can tell you guys that at the beginning of the month once we've crossed that threshold. So keep that in mind. Wednesday, you just heard, we're going to do Lucha Rewatch episode, I believe this would be 9. This will be covering episodes 21 and 22. That's going to be going live at 5, doing that. And then at 9 later that night, it's Wrestle Kingdom preview and predictions because NXT decided to be a mark and do a clip show. So you're getting the best of both worlds.
Honestly, we might even go live at 8 with the preview predictions since NXT's running a clip show and we don't have to watch it.
And that's fine too. I mean, we'll decide definitively. I mean, let's just go with 8. Let's just say that there. This way we don't have to go back and forth. Going live at 8 with our Wrestle Kingdom preview predictions, the first ever preview and predictions we're doing for Wrestle Kingdom. And we've been covering Japan actively, New Japan, I should say, actively for a few years. This is groundbreaking for TWitWoW. If you love our New Japan content, if you love our brand of English commentary and live reactions that we bring to the New Japan wrestling world, preview and predictions is such a cool thing. I'm so excited to be doing this. It's going to be great. I'm really curious the conversations that are going to be had in this context because New Japan's such a different animal from WWE. So you're going to want to be there for that. And then Thursday, it's it, baby. The big shebang, the main event, the crescendo, Wrestle Kingdom 12 live reactions. And yeah, I mean live reactions because I know I have a tendency to go in English commentary mode and I probably still will, no lie, but I'm also looking to lose my shit when you've got some of the best wrestlers in the world under that New Japan Pro Wrestling umbrella. And I'm looking for my boy here to see his boy Naito become IWGP Heavyweight Champion. All of those reactions coming to you on Thursday. We'll be going live with that as well at 5. Guys, this is stacked. You are a part of just the biggest ending to 2017 and the greatest beginning to 2018 that TWitWoW could conceivably provide. If you're not here, do better by your internet, first of all. And then second of all, find a way to get here. You're not going to want to miss a single video we're putting out. I'm sorry for the lengthy outro, but you know what, though? I'm not sorry because these videos are going to be epic, and I want each and every one of you here. Let's close this shit out right.
And another reminder to get your questions in for Q&A. Reply to John's pinned tweet. We go live tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. with Q&A.
Exactly. So with that said, guys, I've talked your ear off enough. You know what I'm expecting of you, and I know you know what to expect of yourselves. Until then, tune in and peace out.